Welcome to Fore Yore Lore. I'm your host, John Adamcik. It's my pleasure today to welcome Sean Noroña, Kiahni Glasthal, Melissa Lozada, and Abby Lowry, who are all here as part of the team for OUTERBOUND, a film that's going to be released in the near future and is currently wrapping up production.
Is anyone sitting here?
Nope.
I'm Thor.
My name's Barbara.
Well, that works out then. You have class after this?
It's a joy to have you all here today. I'm going to go ahead and start with Sean. Sean, I had the pleasure of meeting you and getting to know you a little bit during the production of your last film, a short independent film, Blackout, which was a fantastic success. And I understand, and we'll talk about it briefly, it's continuing to grow, which I knew it would. But for those who haven't seen Blackout and who are not familiar with Sean's work, Sean Noroña is a 32-year-old Latino filmmaker based in Greensboro, North Carolina. His Ecuadorian parents, according to Sean, have always been encouraging him from a very young age. Sean says it was ingrained in him that if he wanted to make something happen, the only person who could go out and do it was himself. Sean, I'm going to ask you to talk about the script for OUTERBOUND, how you came across that, connected with that with your friend, and how you saw your vision and how it's unfolded so far through production and where you think it should go in post-production. I also appreciate the fact that you've made it very clear, and I know you're sincere about this, that you are really celebrating your team, the talented folks that you have surrounded yourself with. And quite frankly, I think your reputation makes it so that people want to work with you. I know I've seen that with the folks that I know that were on Blackout and other social media interactions. So, Sean, I'm really grateful that you'd make time for me again. Say a few words and welcome your team.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here. Happy to be working on another project. Today I have with me Abby Lowry, who is my assistant director on OUTERBOUND. We have Melissa Lozada, who is one of our stars, and Kiahni Glasthal, who is also a star of OUTERBOUND. And I've enjoyed working with everyone, and it's been an amazing time.
That's excellent. I'm so grateful y'all made time to come. I know y'all have been busy. So we're going to go around now briefly, and just each of you, if you could share a little bit about where you're at in your career. It could be scholastic, professional, combination, and how you connected with Sean for OUTERBOUND. We'll go ahead and start with Abby.
Yes, so I am the assistant director on the set of OUTERBOUND, and this position has been a great milestone for my career. I just graduated from UNC Greensboro with a degree in media studies, so I'm extremely proud of that and have been just elated to take the skills that program has provided me and the experience from doing projects during school and working throughout that time and being able to implement that into my role for OUTERBOUND. With that, this role has opened up some other opportunities as well, so I've just been so pleased with being able to be a part of this and to be able to add that to my accomplished list.
For those who don't know UNCG, it's the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, one of the 17 schools in the University of North Carolina system, and my family's one of our two favorites since my son went to state and my daughter went to UNCG. The Spartans, am I getting that right?
Yeah, go Spartans.
Yeah, go Spartans, that's right. And it's obvious from talking to each of you that what I saw years ago when I first toured and got to meet the chancellor in new parent orientation has come to fruition, that we have outstanding talent that's going to be going out and representing across the world. So thank you so much. And Abby, we're so glad that you're here. Congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you.
How do you feel about that?
It's amazing, especially being a first-generation college student, too. It's
Wow.
just awesome to be able to show that accomplishment to everybody. And a huge shout-out to every single person that helped me get there.
Okay. We've got here Kiahni.
Hi. My name is Kiahni Glasthal. I play Barbara in OUTERBOUND.
And actually, I was a transfer student a couple of years ago coming into UNCG, University of North Carolina, Greensboro. And I just had such a blast there, and I learned a lot. And so I kind of started my acting journey more from like an educational standpoint, but now that I had just recently graduated as well, I'm focusing more on doing it professionally. And coming into contact with Sean was actually by chance because he was actually looking for people to be casted in the film, like putting like through Facebook and like through advertising for it. And I happened to find it on Facebook. It was kind of just by chance, and then just applying through there and auditioning and everything, and it just happened the way it happened magically. And I'm so grateful ever since that happened. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Kiahni. That's fantastic. Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa Lozada, and I play Mia in Outerbound. I also have recently graduated from UNC Greensboro. I graduated last December, so we're currently filming in summer of 2024, in case y'all are watching in the future.
School stuff too? I thought you felt a little distracted during our last rehearsal.
You know me, I'm allergic to free time.
What is all this you told me about the young man who interviewed you?
Oh, I didn't know I told you that part about the interview.
Well, how's it going with him?
And in terms of my career, this is the point in my life where it's kind of branching out from where I've always stayed. Right. I am primarily a stage actor. I grew up doing musical theater. I've been doing it. This is my 10th year doing it now. I went to school for it. I minored in musical theater. I got to do some shows in my college career, which was a very, very fortunate to do. And now that I've graduated, I've been stepping outside of my comfort zone with voiceover work and with film and starting to do commercial and other kinds of art that I hadn't really had the chance to experience before. And working on this film and meeting Sean in particular was very key in making that switch. And I'm still doing musical theater, but it's just now adding more things into my arsenal. And with Sean, and this is very important, Sean is how we met is also pretty much by chance also. I come in and I meet him, we're vibing, we're having a good time, and he's like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm putting my film up and I'm having auditions. I would love for you to audition if you're interested. And so I was like, of course, absolutely. I love like trying new things and stepping out of my comfort zone. So I read the script. And I love the story, especially considering that one of the main focuses that Sean wanted for the film was to have two leads that were of Latin descent, that were Latino, Latinx, Latina. Okay. And so I thought that was extremely important as someone who is Latina, having that kind of representation, because that's sorely lacking, especially with that intention behind that. So I already off the bat was super interested. Read the script, auditioned for Mia and for Barbara, and then I got the email. I don't even know how long it took, but afterwards I got the email that I got Mia, and I was really excited. And then we just, I found out. So the funny thing is that me and Kiahni, we like UNCG is not that big, so it's, I think of it more like a high school. Somehow you tend to know everybody from everywhere. Kiahni and I were in an a cappella group in college. Shout out No Control, if it's still alive. And so I finally got the news, like everyone was cast at this point. And I read the cast list, and I saw Kiahni. I was like, that name looks really familiar. And then we come in to do our chemistry reads, and I see Kiahni, and I realize, like, oh, you're going to be my co-star.
Wow.
So we found out we were going to be co-stars together, and that was another way that we got to be closer. Because we had always known each other, and, like, we had been in rehearsals and doing things like that. And, she was also, what was it, BA drama that you majored in? Yeah, so she was in the theater department, so I had known her from that, too. So from being in this project, we got a lot closer as a result. So... The joys of being connected via your school, so
really
shout out
good.
UNCG for that.
Yeah, that's right. Sean, if you would, go ahead and kind of describe OUTERBOUND and what your goals were with that.
Yeah, I can start by saying where the script came from and then kind of delve into lightly what the whole story is about. So a while back, again, back in college, I met a friend. His name is Nathan Rohan, and he's a very, very talented writer. I had a roommate who was in a lab class with him, and they told me, my friend's a writer. I want you to read his work. You guys might vibe. And so I did take a look at a script that he sent over, and it was absolutely incredible. It was like a high school drama comedy. It was almost like if Quentin Tarantino had written a high school movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so that was cool. And so we became friends, and later on he started writing OUTERBOUND. And it was based a little bit on some of his experiences and just kind of diving into, a little bit outside of his comfort zone, writing, female characters and all that. And I really, really liked the script. And I told him, I like this so much that I want to save it for when I have the means and ability to make a feature.
Okay.
So we kind of set it aside for a while. And last year we ended up picking it back up. And I after Blackout, which was my kind of dipping my feet in the water to kind of get used to being on film sets and directing again, it was really good practice for me. And I was I want the next thing I do to be a feature. So we took the script back up and started reworking it and, trying to update it for modern audiences, but also just make sure that it was really, really strong. And once we finally had it polished, we shared it with our group. So I was simultaneously working on the script while trying to get the right people together, like the cast and the crew. So it was a lot of things to juggle. But for those who don't know what OUTERBOUND's about, it's a coming-of-age story that I like to call a romanticized comedy. It's a little bit funny. There's a little bit of romance in there. There's a lot of just dealing with people growing up. It's centered around two young women who lead very different lives, and they're both on their own journeys. And it's kind of how their stories intersect with each other, how they deal with family issues, how they deal with their own personal demons. We touch on subjects like financial insecurity, anxiety, depression, and just kind of balancing all the things in your life as you enter that stage of adulthood.
Thinking about several things. One of the things that I want to get back to the script in a minute and then talk a little bit more about your vision for this. As a writer, and that's my primary, I would say, calling in regards to creating, I'm always open and excited by nuances within a script that stand out, that really, really catch. And I'm still learning how to format scripts and things like that. So how that translates to the screen, to me, is very interesting. When I read a script, think, okay, how would somebody make that come to life, and what is their vision for that?
I ran into an old friend from high school at a job interview today. She's the kind of friend that tells you everything within the first 5 minutes, so she kind of wrote me into her stuff recently.
Barbara back at it again.
I have told you about it.
Yeah.
You already have a play. I bet most actors would be grateful for that, okay? I just don't think it's practical that you're getting a third job.
I want to step back for just a moment about Blackout, because I think that's really important in terms of the depth of your or the range of your skills as a director. And one of the reasons why, quite frankly, when I heard you were working on this project, I don't know you that well, but I had come off watching Blackout, and I was like, all right, Sean's going to be Michael Bay. You're going to be up there just making one after another of these hit action movies. I'm going to be spending all my money, Mission Impossible, all that stuff, watching these shows. Just for the rest of you. So Nicole, who was the lead in Blackout, I was in a Duke University film with her. We acted, and I met her, and I was just like blown away. She was like way past anything I could bring to the table for acting. And then Paula, who was her foil in that movie, is with Argonne Corps combat choreography, and my daughter Caitlin had gone to one of their seminars down in Wilmington, and so I had come to appreciate both. So I was like, well, I know these people. I really want to learn about this film. What you did with that, though, Sean, and what I learned about your vision and how you brought that forth, that's a whole universe in and of itself. And so it would have been really easy, and I understand you probably got some other things you're working on. Most creatives have multiple projects, but like I was like, all right, when's the full length coming and all that? But then I saw you're doing this film. And I was like, all right, well, there's got to be a reason. And so you've explained some of that. What is it about a romanticized comedy that appeals to you in this point in your career?
So I am one of those people that just watches dozens of movies, and I love so many different genres. I don't live in just one. So even though Blackout is something that I really love to do, and it was a great experience, I want to make sure as an artist that I can tell stories of all genres. I want to be able to go into comedy. I want to be able to go into dramas. I want to do sci-fi one day. And I don't want to be in some kind of box. So with Outerbound, again, it was always in my head that I wanted to make this movie. And even as we were finishing up Blackout, I started, reworking that script and starting to find talent and putting those audition opportunities out there. But yeah, the things that appeal to me about a romanticized comedy is like I've seen a lot of, romantic comedies. I've seen a lot of coming of age stories. What I wanted to bring to this was a style similar where, it's not quite a drama, it's not quite a comedy, but it has this kind of lens that you look at everything where the city you're living in is its own character. It's beautiful. The moments between people you kind of like extra romanticize, and also kind of keep it light. And I think that's something that I fell in love with watching movies, and I want to bring that to this project.
That's great. I'm thinking Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally, some of these other like classic, rom-com, I guess is another phrase for it. And I always enjoy that. And I think there's some movies that can do that very, very well. And I think that there seems to be difficulty for directors to be able to switch, almost ambidextrous, if you will, to be able to switch from the intense action movie to the stylized drama. And as you were talking about, the serious points, but also the light and capturing the heart of the environment that you're in. That's great stuff. I want to touch briefly here about something you guys said, Kiahni and Melissa, about chemistry, and then I want to get back to you, Abby, in just a minute, talk a little bit about the production and how you were getting used to working with Sean in this environment. So if you want to be thinking about that. Chemistry. So I was reading this, and the plot, there's all these nuances in there that I think will really come out in the film.
You have to stay in school. You're the first member of this family to go to college.
For you guys, I was reading this and I thought, this would be kind of like a couple of friends. You've got the meeting and kind of the development, the formation of the friendship and so forth. But then there's some really intense moments in there. And I know that, like you were saying, Sean, the film captures the change between developing autonomy and sense of self and really expressing that in the vocational aspect of a person's life, coming out of the scholastic career to the vocational career. How did you two develop chemistry, and was that apparent during the chemistry read?
Well, I think we had the benefit of already knowing each other before we started. Yeah. But I think our chemistry developed over time. We had a couple of days of filming where we would have a couple scenes together, or maybe me and one of our other actors, Patrick, because he's my love interest in the film. We would have scenes together, and she and her love interest, the actor's name was Cole. They would have their scenes together, but a lot of the time we would have our scenes together, and we would spend our days filming and, having our banter in between when, we're in between takes and whatnot. But I think we had recently, not this last day of filming, I think the previous one, we had a chance to just hang out one-on-one. And I got to meet her mom and her brother because I was staying over at her apartment, and we just got to talk, and I think we stayed up talking till 4 o'clock in the morning. Literally. So I think it also helps that just our personalities just seem to mesh really well. Just liking to talk about different experiences that we've had, and even relating to the film. There was a conversation we had with her mom. We were having dinner, and I had told her I had brought this very big notebook just with line notes everywhere, and I was freaked out how I'm not memorized for this day of filming. What am I gonna do? I haven't had the chance to go over this with Kiahni or whatever, and I just had random scribblings everywhere. And so I had told her, I was like, oh my god, I was so nervous for this day of filming. Ended up being completely fine. And she was like, why didn't you call Kiahni? Her mom said, and because she was in the same boat, and we were all just so I guess in our heads about making sure this went off without a hitch. So just having that bonding moment of okay, we're both in the same boat. We both are in the same mindset of we want this to turn out right. We want to make sure that we are doing what we can on our end to have everything prepared. But that it's still that nerve-wracking feeling. It's I want this to be good, and not knowing that you're not the only person thinking that. It's a shared experience.
Yeah.
So that really helped with our personal chemistry of just we're in the same boat, and we come from similar backgrounds too. We're both Latinas, we're both in theater, we both went to the same school, and we were already in the same a cappella group too. So honestly, this project just really put us together.
Yeah, and it was really funny too, because when she showed me the notebook, she was like, "Look, girl, I got all these notes highlighted and stuff." And then I'm like, I pulled out my notebook, and I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And we were just dying laughing, and it was a hilarious connection moment for us, because it was just really funny. But also again not feeling alone, we're in this together, we're really doing this, this is crazy, because it's I think both our first film experiences, our first feature film experiences. Yeah. So to experience it not only on our own, but also together, and just having similar backgrounds and everything, it really does help a lot. That having that friendship and that sisterhood really helps for sure.
Yeah,
that's so cool. The sense of community that creative, I guess, areas provide is just really unique in my opinion, and people can bring themselves and their thoughts and have the space to be creative and lift it up. So you brought up a point that Sean had pointed out to me, the idea of approaching this, but also as you said, your first feature length. I mean, so tell me a little bit, each of you, if you would, about what you did before that you said, okay, I'm going to draw on that to put into this.
Honestly, for me, I've done theater throughout my life, middle school, high school and stuff. But this was one of the biggest opportunities for me, because not only was this my first feature film, but this was also something for the first time that I was going to be kind of in the front, or co-leading with, in a way, having a lead role in a sense, if you will.
Sure.
And not that lead roles are the most important thing in the world. But like growing up, it was really hard, especially the communities that I was in. You know, I suffered through a lot of like favoritism and, you know, also like racial things too.
Oh, wow.
And it was just really, really hard for like someone like me, like, you know, with Latina background to like ever get really like a role or an opportunity. So to not only get this opportunity for the first time, but also to have that shared experience with someone else who's also Latina, and like we're doing this together, and it's like this is both our first feature thing. It really felt nice to not do it alone in a sense. Like I really, really enjoyed that, because for so long, like growing up, I always kind of felt like alone in certain like communities and certain atmospheres when it came to doing acting in theater. So it was really, really hard growing up. But like now coming into it, like it's just really been amazing, because throughout like growing up and stuff in theater, like I never really got like any lead roles, or I didn't really get anything that would like really showcase my talent. And I feel like for the first time, like there's something that I really want to do, which is like leaning towards more film, even though I still want to do theater, but like leaning towards more film is really what I want to do. And just to be able to showcase that for the first time in such a role like this, I'm just so over the moon and like appreciative about it, because it's just like I've never had this experience before. And like honestly, like it was just about really trusting my own talent and trusting my gut, because I didn't really have anything to look back on for, or like anyone to look back on to like give me some advice or anything. Like I just had to like do it myself in a sense. So yeah, it was like a very big learning experience for sure.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Did you have anything you wanted to?
Very similar to what Kiahni said. This was my first feature. I had done a short film before this, I think the year before, and that was like my very first film ever. And kind of similar to what Kiahni said, just not having that opportunity to put the whole of you in the forefront. You know, because I'm lighter, a lot of people just assume that, oh, she's like a white girl. And I've always straddled the line of like, I'm too white to be Latina, but also too Latina to be white. So to have this role of it's just me, you know, like this is all that I am, and I'm putting it all in front of the camera, and just having the opportunity to represent my community within this character, and having another Latina co-star and having a story that's centered around that identity. That was a first for me, because I think before that I had only done one other production on stage that had some sort of connection with my background. And I never really had the opportunity to showcase that in an organic way, because oftentimes when people produce something for the stage or for the camera and they don't have that background knowledge, it tends to cross over into the world of stereotyping.
Sure.
And that's something I've always wanted to avoid. I don't want to be typecasted as the feisty Latina who always has some sassy mouth thing to say, like, where it's so much deeper than that. It's dehumanizing in a way to reduce someone because of their background, what their stereotype is. You know, because Latinas can have moments of vulnerability and being very genuine and being very soft. And having that kind of dexterity and flexibility between, you're a whole person. You're so much more than what people reduce you to in a stereotype. And so having that benefit of having a Latina character created by a Latino who's directing, and having, you know, the chance to share it with someone who's also Latina in a co-star setting also helps, just not going through it alone. And I had a lot of reservations getting into it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm prepared for this. I don't know if I can handle this. But I decided to stick through it, and I'm so happy I did, because I think I've grown a lot in terms of being an actor, but also getting to know myself through this character. I do think Mia as a character and myself have a lot of similarities, and just learning throughout this filming process, like, about myself and what I'm capable of as an actress, as well as the kind of stories that can be told about people that look like me, that are like me. There's so many opportunities for that to, like, in store for the future. So I'm really grateful that I stuck with it. And I also like grew an appreciation for being a film actress, which is something I didn't really know about before.
Thank you both so much. That's powerful. I can't. I can only learn from what I've heard you share. What that means to me in a couple ways. Number one, I certainly haven't had those experiences, but I could see. I mean, you guys are on the front, kind of pushing the envelope of recognizing and celebrating and creating opportunities for bringing everybody into the space.
School stuff too? I thought you felt a little distracted during our last rehearsal.
You know me, I'm allergic to free time.
What is all this you told me about the young man who interviewed you?
Oh, I didn't know I told you that part about the interview.
Well, how's it going with him?
It's going really well. I like him a lot. But I haven't had a lot of time to see him lately.
Is anyone sitting here?
Nope.
I'm Thorpe.
My name's Barbara.
Well, that works out then. You have class after this?
I ran into an old friend from high school at a job interview today. She's the kind of friend that tells you everything within the first 5 minutes, so she kind of wrote me into her stuff recently.
Barbara back at it again.
I have told you about it.
Yeah.
You already have a play. I bet most actors would be grateful for that, okay? I just don't think it's practical that you're getting a third job.
Community theater doesn't pay, Barbara. Even when I was juggling 2 plays, I wasn't making any money.
I just don't think it's fair for you to compete with me when clearly you're doing so much better.
You have to stay in school. You're the first member of this family to go to college. I don't want you to waste that.